This is a really unsettling shot. Maybe it's just the shadows, but it's executed really well. One thing the start of this episode does really well is it makes Lee on the losing side. If you think about it, most of this fight is just flipping momentum, just like Naruto versus Kiba. But the difference is, the content of this fight is actually interesting enough to keep you invested. You can see Anko, Ibiki, and the third Hokage in the shot.
The poor kid is helpless, he doesn't have anything left. Gaara's just toying with him now.
This is a good line. I think without this piece of dialogue, you can definitely chalk all this up to being filler to make Lee seem hopeless. Another line that helps reinforce Lee getting tossed around here is last episode when Gaara was talking about, "Oh, there's not enough blood."
Huh? What's Lee doing just standing there? Why doesn't he dodge them? Huh? What does that mean? Why is that?
The lotus is what you might call a double-edged sword.
Huh?
This actually gets reinforced the time we see Lee use the lotus in the Force of Death.
Right now, Lee is in so much pain he can hardly move at all. Isn't that right, Guy?
This little part at the end is a subtle way of Kakashi condemning Guy for teaching Lee the lotus, which comes into play later. For being in a lot of pain like Kakashi said, this is still very impressive. Not even Naruto at full strength could dodge this. Take that how you will. You guys should probably know at this point, I'm someone who doesn't like when there's long ass flashbacks or bad pacing, cause, I kinda happen to point it out literally every chance I get. But in this scenario, I'm a lot more sympathetic towards it. It's not like the Naruto versus Kiba flashbacks where it doesn't really feel like there's a need, so this flashback works for his character growth. Not only that, but it works for this fight, and it works later on.
Hey, you know what everyone here is calling you, don't you? Darkly! 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 Ah!
Also, I think this flashback really helps everyone sympathize with Lee. That's really what flashbacks are supposed to do. Provide insight to a character so you can decide to love them or hate them. This moment here kind of sets you on the path of sympathizing. You side with Naruto when you see him get bullied, and you're obviously gonna side with Lee too.
So that's the no-talent overachiever I've heard so much about.
Yeah, he kind of reminds me of someone, especially around the eyebrows.
Okay, quick question. Did anyone on their first watch through think that Lee and Guy were related? It's pretty hard not to think that, right? Good on the flashback for clearing that up. That could've been bad. Okay, this is actual torture. I never realized how terrorizing this move was. Just forcing the weight of sand onto someone like that. God.
If I can't do 500 kicks, then it's 2,000 squats!
What's really interesting is how unhealthy this training technique really is. I mean, at least in the reality we live in. I don't know the rules of the ninja world. Maybe they just go one set of 200s, not 10 sets of 20. But anyways. What I'm trying to say is it's cool how human this makes Lee feel. When someone's determined to do something, it's human nature to take something way too far, even to a point where they're doing stuff like this. So seeing Lee do this shows his determination while also making him a lot more human.
I want to be a great and powerful ninja, to walk in the footsteps of the legendary Kunoichi Tsunade.
This is our first, official mentioning of Tsunade. Very cool.
I want to show I can be a splendid ninja as well, even if I do not have ninjutsu or genjutsu. I want to prove it to the whole world!
It's really good that they show his ninja way, and it's one of the reasons everyone loves Lee. It also compares with Gaara pretty well, but we're gonna get into that later. I want y'all to know right now, this was better than Naruto versus Kiba. I mean it.
So I was not born with a whole lot of natural talent, not gifted like Neji, but I work hard and I never give up! That is my gift! That is my ninja way!
This is another reason that everyone loves Lee. He doesn't naturally excel. You would be lying if you said there was never something you really wanted to do, but didn't naturally exceed at it. Whether that be physical, or just the way you are as a person. So when you see a character like Lee struggle with that same thing, you relate, and you watch him more closely due to that relation. Which is why all the big moments for Lee in this fight, and going forward, are so important to people. They want to see him succeed, because they have a connection to his character. I've talked about scary shots from Gaara since last episode, but this might be the creepiest.
I pity the kid. Gaara will just toy with him till he begs for mercy.
Well then, Gaara's in for a long match because that will never happen.
It's really cool seeing Guy stand up for Lee like this. It shows the bond they have, and it makes Guy pushing Lee really hard seem like a not totally selfish move. Holy shit, your fucking head.
You have a gift that Neji doesn't have. You have the gift of perseverance, and that's what makes you a genius too.
Lee is also a character that's really inspiring for people. They see him struggle and fight through tough situation after tough situation, but you never see him give up. The only time you see a moment of weakness from Lee is in these flashbacks.
I do not know if I can take it. Sometimes it seems like the whole thing is pointless. Like I am a loser and I will always be a loser.
Like, this moment for some people is them. Some viewers have felt like Lee. And what Guy says next isn't just said for Lee. He's saying it directly to the viewer. And in a kid's show, yes, I'm still calling Naruto a kid's show. Check the rating. That's a really good message to tell a younger generation. Seriously, props to Kishimoto, because this is one of the most powerful messages he gives in the entire anime.
You're right, all the effort is pointless. If you don't believe in yourself.
And you can tell what Guy said here really stuck with Lee, because after this moment, from what we see at least, Lee sticks by this. It changes his viewpoint.
Don't let anything steer you off the path you've drawn for yourself. Forge ahead to the end. Stick to it, Lee. Make me proud. Be everything you can be.
It's really interesting, because at least in my eyes, it feels like this is literally Kishimoto speaking through a character. There's nothing wrong with that, and honestly, I really like how it's done, because it gives you the message in a really straightforward fashion. Also, since this is the end of the flashback, I might as well say this too. This flashback serves not only as a flashback of Lee, but it gives us a reason why Lee values Guy so much. How powerful are these sand attacks to make holes in the floor like that?
The Leaf Village Lotus blooms twice.
I've heard that somewhere before. Yeah, Lee told me that.
The Leaf Village Lotus blooms twice.
So that Genin, that boy, is able to open the 8 inner gates and use the hidden lotus?
Huh?
The way Kakashi speaks about the lotus sets up how powerful it is, while his facial expression can subtly show why it's not good that he knows it. Very good.
Well, if that isn't the most...
And this, at least to me, drives home how serious of a matter it is that Lee knows it. We don't really see Kakashi get angry like this, but we see it when it matters. So when he's getting angry at this, when we've only seen him get pissed at Zabuza and Orochimaru, it shows how bad it is that Guy taught him the 8 inner gates.
So then how many of the inner gates is he able to open now?
5 gates.
Is it not, like, impressive that a Genin is already able to open more than half of the gates? Lee's a dog, holy shit.
There are gates along the chakra network.
It's really offhanded because they're doing exposition on the 8 gates, but Kakashi shows a Sharingan here. And let me get into the exposition real quick. I can't really show it, copyright and all that, and there's not really much to explain from it, but I'll summarize it real quick. The 8 gates essentially forces chakra valves that hold a lot of chakra open, which allows them to exert enormous amounts of strength with each one opening. The more that open, the worse effect on the user afterwards. And if you open the 8th gate, you die. There you go. Did you know this is actually Lee as the model? You can see his little things that hold the weights at his feet.
I don't know what this boy means to you, Guy, but I shouldn't have to tell you that we never bring our personal feelings into play.
It's cool that Kakashi says this, because he does do something similar with Sasuke later, but his are a lot more toned down compared to Guy's.
I don't know what you think you're planning right now, but this match is over for you.
You are right. It is over. One way or another.
I like how Lee pretty much acknowledges that if he fails, he's gonna lose. I don't know why, it's just a cool line.
To protect and maintain one's own ninja way.
The 3rd gate, gate of life, open!
Okay, first off, one of the coolest endings to an episode we've gotten so far. Second off, let me give you context. The only time you're allowed to use the 8 gates is to protect your ninja way, and that actually compares Gaara and Lee even better than before, but all that talk is next episode, cause honestly, it's better to talk about it then. This episode is one of those episodes I'm sympathetic towards. Cause like, yeah, I usually would bully any episode that had half of it be a flashback, but that flashback is incredibly important to this fight, and later on. And it's overall just important to Lee as a character and the connection he gives to the viewer. Other than the flashback, I think the fighting part of this episode is really interesting. There's really not a whole lot of it substance-wise until the 8 gates, and once that happens, the episode literally ends. But like the little bits we get here and there are interesting. A lot of characters in this episode get left to the side so Lee can blossom out as a character. Seriously, I don't even think Naruto had a line in this episode. Anyways, this episode serves as the setup for the last part of the fight. The first episode of this fight was kind of just showing you how insane both characters are. The second episode is setup, and the last is payoff, which we're at now, so next episode, the 5th gate, a splendid ninja is born.